Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're getting into something really fundamental. Why do we chase money?
Right. And our guide for this is Steph Wynne's book, Chasing Money.
Exactly. And it's not just about, cash. It digs much deeper.
It really does. It's about the drives behind that chase.
And you, our listener, you want to get to the heart of things fast, get the full picture. So as we're doing, unpacking the real reasons we run after wealth.
Yeah, because it's often way more than just wanting a bigger salary, isn't it? Wynne's own life, her story as an entrepreneur, someone who's really seen some stuff, it shows the chase is often for, security, feeling like you matter, real freedom.
Absolutely. And her background makes it so grounded. This isn't just theory, it's lived experience. Okay, so let's jump into chapter 1, the chase. It starts right at the beginning, her early life.
And what's really striking right away is how she connects this sort of innate drive almost with actually taking things, like those stories of stealing Kmart shoes or collecting bikes.
Yeah, the bikes, lawnmowers, stereos, even candy.
It wasn't just about owning the stuff itself, was it? It kind of points to this deep-seated desire for more, a take-what-you-want vibe, probably shaped by, feeling like she didn't have enough early on.
That feeling of scarcity, yeah, it's powerful. And the book highlights her arrest at 13 for stealing a stereo system she really wanted.
A huge turning point, led to time in a girls' school.
You'd think that experience might reset things, but nope, that underlying drive, that chase, it was still there.
It was. But the interesting thing is how her understanding of the chase changes. It moves beyond just like grabbing stuff.
To something deeper.
Exactly. To fulfilling these basic human needs. Feeling secure, feeling important, not feeling like you're nothing. Not being the poor one, wanting to finally win at something.
And that feeling, so many people can relate.
Yeah.
Right. When you feel like you're lacking, money looks like the magic key to everything.
Food, clothes, sure, but also confidence, love, respect, escape. That desire to feel powerful, to feel free.
Which brings up her point about the false promises of fast money.
Yeah, right. It offers this quick hit of power, makes you feel secure for a minute, gets you some approval, but it's temporary. It's a cycle. You always need more.
Like a treadmill.
Yeah.
And then comes another big moment. She talks about the credit card fraud case.
And that parole officer's warning about becoming a habitual criminal. Oof.
Yeah, that seems to be the real catalyst, shifting from, chasing and scheming towards actually building something more sustainable.
Totally. It's like realizing that the initial hustle, even if it came from a tough place, just wasn't going to lead to real fulfillment. And like she says, society kind of pushes this idea, doesn't it? That money buys respect, comfort, makes you seen, makes you matter.
Which circles back to the big question she leaves us with in chapter 1. Is the chase really about the money? Or is it freedom we're after?
Because crime and debt, that's not freedom. She makes that clear. And even making it in the traditional sense can feel empty if it just brings pressure and fake connections.
So for you listening, it's a good question to ask yourself. Why are you running so hard? What are you actually chasing? And maybe more importantly, what will you do if you catch it? Will it be what you expected?
Okay, chapter 2. This shifts gears a bit. It talks about getting some financial success, but still feeling empty. She mentions her rap record store, the gay magazine in Hollywood.
Right, so she had some success, some freedom, control even, running her own businesses.
Exactly. On the surface, things looked okay. But deep down, that satisfaction wasn't there, which led to that moment. Buying cocaine just out of sheer boredom, seeking something.
It just shows, doesn't it? External success doesn't always equal internal peace.
Not at all. And then bang, another major turning point. Getting incarcerated for that credit card charge. Petty, but the consequences were huge.
And the impact of that time inside.
Yeah.
She really emphasizes it.
Yeah, the forced sobriety, the stillness. It sounds like it was incredibly clarifying. A real wake-up call, not just legally, but about who she was, what she actually valued, like realizing she couldn't run her businesses from jail. That must have hit hard. The difference between feeling in control and actually being in control.
And she found a kind of peace in that confinement, strangely enough, which leads to this idea she discusses, the cost of every dollar earned.
Oh, that legal hustle story. Yeah. Choosing to drop a lawsuit, potentially losing money she needed, just to avoid more legal trouble down the line.
That's a big decision, giving up short-term cash for long-term, freedom. Peace of mind.
It was an investment in peace, basically, even though it meant losing her first record store.
And that's where that core message comes in, right? Money matters, but peace.
Yeah.
Peace is better.
Yeah, and she defines that peace so well. It's not having that constant anxiety about bills, being able to just be still, not having to lie or cheat or hustle just to survive.
It's a powerful contrast to chasing the big house, the flashy car, all the stuff we think equals happiness.
But often just hides that lack of inner calm. She talks about that cycle: chasing, flipping, scheming, risking when money's the only goal.
And wanting clean money. Money that doesn't cost you your peace. Realizing you can get everything you thought you wanted and still feel like nothing.
Means you were chasing the wrong thing all along.
So the final thought there is huge. Money's important. Yeah, we need it. But a quiet mind, a clean spirit, a steady life. That's the real flex.
Totally. Okay, chapter 3. Spending on stupid stuff. I think most of us can probably relate to this one on some level.
Definitely. Buying things to impress people or just to feel good for a moment.
Yeah.
And watching the money just vanish because you don't respect it.
She uses her own history, like her love for BMWs, that story about selling one without the pink slip.
And then running into the buyer later. Awkward.
Very. It shows that impulsive side, right? Not thinking things through. And then the image of ending up with that old Mazda that got shot up while parked.
Whoa. Yeah, that's a pretty stark symbol of where chasing money without respect can lead.
It really is, and she cuts right to the chase. We buy to feel something. Simple as that.
And then she lists all the examples. Clothes you don't wear, electronics gathering dust, meals you can't afford, cars that break the bank, those business investments that go nowhere.
And she digs into why. It's often about image, right? Trying to feel successful, powerful, respected, or just trying to quiet the noise inside, keep up with the Joneses.
She's incredibly honest, too. Talking about working temp jobs in finance after prison and still stealing, just more carefully. From companies, not people, she says.
Yeah, that level of candor is something. And the pattern continued for a bit. Another record store, music videos, films, still skimming, which led to getting caught again.
For that stupid film script scam, as she calls it.
But then that moment in court, the judge lets her go, unexpectedly.
And that feels like another turning point. The last time she played the bad girl. A real shift.
And she drills down on that idea again. Money disappears when you don't respect it. Fast money, no discipline. Recipe for disaster.
She looks back at having cash, but never investing, saving, planning, just spending it to look good, to escape feeling broke for a minute.
And the big takeaway, money didn't fix the underlying issues. You can't buy peace. You have to earn it, build it through how you act, how you treat yourself.
Yeah. Waking up before you go too far off the rails, realizing the real value is internal, not external. Enjoy your money, sure, but don't waste it chasing approval or running from your past.
Because spending without purpose always leaves you feeling broke, even if you technically have money.
Okay, chapter 4 gets into this common belief: thinking, credit, success.
Right. Especially for someone trying to be a businesswoman. Wynne talks about how she really bought into that idea. Good credit means opportunity, respect, stability.
That's what we're often told, isn't it?
Totally. And her story about co-signing for that BMW for her cousin, that really drove the point home for her.
When the payments couldn't be kept up.
Yeah, damaged the relationship, hurt her cousin's credit. It made her realize credit isn't just a number. It's about trust, responsibility. It has real consequences.
Sounds like a tough lesson.
Yeah.
But a necessary one.
Seems like it. It pushed her towards being more aware financially, stopping the quick schemes, actually tackling her debts.
She mentions living more low-key for a while, second record store, temping, the magazine.
But the store wasn't really making money, so she pivoted, built a boxing ring, hosted underground parties, creative hustle.
So her credit was improving slowly, but she saw it as, what was the phrase, an illusion of progress.
Exactly, not real wealth, which leads to her point about credit cards. They make you feel rich until they don't.
Oh, yeah. That's why it feels good for a second.
Until the bill comes. And she calls debt what it often is, financial slavery. Paying back money you haven't even earned yet for stuff you maybe didn't even need.
Plus the interest, the minimum payments trap, the collection calls. It's a nightmare cycle.
And she flat out says, a good FICO ain't freedom. You can have a great score but still be broke, living paycheck to paycheck, totally stressed out, no peace.
So what is real wealth, according to her?
Assets, peace, options, ownership, things that score doesn't measure.
Makes sense. So the advice is basically, own your credit, don't let it own you.
Pretty much. Real success comes from wisdom, discipline, inner peace. No credit card offers that.
Okay, chapter 5. This one's about missed chances. not investing early.
Yeah, she looks back at the early internet boom. She actually had computer skills, IBM training even.
Oh, really?
Yeah, tells a story about a college dean hiring her on the spot because of her computer knowledge, no degree needed. She even got tutored on building PCs from scratch. She was definitely positioned well for that era.
So what happened? Why didn't she capitalize?
In her words, she was distracted, juggling too much. That third record store, the magazine, films, music videos, temping side hustles, just spread too thin.
So she was busy building things, but not necessarily things that would grow on their own. Not planting roots, as she puts it.
Exactly. Not investing in things that could generate passive income or appreciate over time. She even learned web development, ran her own server, launched websites, but still scattered.
And that specific missed opportunity with gold and silver.
Right. Seeing gold around $985 an ounce, thinking about a website, but not actually investing any real money, just bought some cheap silver. It perfectly shows that gap between seeing potential and having that investor mindset.
She mentions being around businesses before they took off, but not thinking like an investor herself.
Yeah, she contrasts chasing fast money, the immediate score, with building long money. The patient, strategic approach. She was busy, all right, but not putting dollars into assets that grow.
Because time is money's best friend.
Yeah.
And she feels she gave that time away by not investing.
And that chase for quick cash, it can actually make you blind, she says. Blind to the bigger opportunities for real growth, real freedom later on.
Realizing she was in the right place, right time, with the right knowledge, but just too scattered. That must sting a bit.
For sure. She contrasts the survivor mode hustle, flip, keep moving with the investor mode sit, study, let time do the work. Different mindsets entirely.
But she seems to accept the lessons learned, right? It led to a different approach now.
Yeah, definitely. An acceptance of misplays, but using that to inform how she plants and grows wealth now. Understanding that money grows best when you nurture it, not just chase it constantly.
Okay, chapter 6. This one hits home for a lot of creative types, I think. Starting businesses, then dropping them.
Oh, yeah. She says she needed to look at old business cards and domain names just to remember them all.
So the issue wasn't bad ideas.
Nope, not usually. It was impatience. She calls it the launch high.
That initial buzz, getting the idea, the branding, the website, feeling like you've already succeeded.
Exactly. But then reality hits. The money and customers don't magically appear overnight, and the crash comes. So drop it, move on to the next exciting thing.
She admits some of those ideas were solid, even ahead of their time. They could have worked.
If she'd stuck with them, her realization is powerful. I didn't fail. I just didn't wait. She didn't grasp the slow grind needed, didn't have the focus.
And focus is hard when you have a million ideas, right? Everything feels like the thing.
Totally. She talks about exploring film, thinking that might be her one thing, but writing kept pulling her back. Launching businesses almost became just another creative outlet.
Like that Steph's Caps and Teas example. Saw an opportunity on Temu, started selling by a weed spot, but quit too soon, even though people liked the stuff.
Right. And contrast that with the one business she never let go. Bookkeeping and taxes.
A one that wasn't exciting maybe, but paid the bills.
Precisely. Kept it going for over 20 years out of necessity, which leads to her advice. Keep your day job. For creatives, that stability can be what allows you to keep chasing the dream.
Makes sense. So her point is, most businesses don't fail because the idea was bad. They just didn't get enough time, enough breathing room to grow, to overcome the hurdles.
Yeah, she didn't fail all those businesses. She just didn't wait long enough. The real power is in staying. Consistently building that one thing can lead to surprising places.
Which leads perfectly into chapter 7. Consistency is the secret sauce.
Yeah, she argues it's more important than the idea, the hustle, the big launch. It's the secret ingredient.
And how does she define consistency?
It's the daily grind, showing up even when it's boring, when progress feels glacial, when nobody's noticing. It's the commitment.
And she reflects on why the bookkeeping business stuck around, maybe subconsciously, because it provided that stability without the creative highs and lows. Reliable.
But then she shares that time in 2015 when she did step away from a big client to chase the creative dream films writing.
And that led to financial struggles.
It did. Followed by taking and quitting 3 decent jobs in 2018 because they just didn't feel like her, shows how important alignment is, beyond just money.
But she eventually went back to rebuilding that consistent base, landing another big client in 2019.
Right. And she contrasts the long game versus the sprint. Looking at clients she's had since 2005, seeing their businesses grow from tiny acorns into, big oaks. Not always because they had the flashiest brand or product.
Because they just kept going. Perseverance.
Exactly. Building that foundation brick by brick, day after day, even when no one's applauding.
She mentions a client offering to pay for her accounting certification.
Yeah, she considered it, but ultimately decided against it. Partly because it didn't fully align with her passions, but also thinking about the future, like AI's impact on pure accounting.
So she's not worried about AI taking over her business.
Not really, because she sees her role as more than just the numbers. She helps with websites, marketing, webinars, strategy, a whole range of skills built up over time through consistent work with clients.
Skills stay relevant. Consistency keeps you in the game.
Precisely. She contrasts the seasons of her life when she was scattered versus when she stuck to a plan. The consistent periods always yielded better results: peace, income, impact.
So the message is clear. Every big success starts small. The difference maker is not quitting.
Yep. Stay in it. That's where the magic happens.
Okay, Chapter 8 explores specializing versus generalizing. Owning your approach.
Right. She reflects on maybe going back for a degree, but admits she still wouldn't have known what to focus on with all her interests. And the irony that accounting, the thing she found least interesting, became her mainstay.
And she didn't really understand the specialist versus generalist distinction back then.
Not really, or how to make either path work well. She defines specialists clearly: deep mastery in one area, the go-to person. That gives you leverage, security, stability.
Specialists get called for the big stuff, right? And they can usually pivot their core skill even when markets change.
Definitely. She muses on how specializing early might have built a different kind of foundation for her. Deep expertise has real advantages.
But then she flips it and looks at being a generalist, acknowledging she used to feel scattered, undisciplined.
But reframing it now as being adaptable. Having skills in multiple areas lets you pivot, gives you independence from any one industry. She lists her own skills: web building, marketing, events, video, writing, bookkeeping.
She calls it range, creative currency, not confusion.
Right. And the key for generalists, she argues, is vision plus structure. It might feel scattered, but if you have a clear vision connecting the dots and you organize your talents, you become really powerful.
So figure out which skills pay the bills, which feed the soul, and structure it. Don't feel forced to pick just one lane.
Exactly. Organize, don't agonize. The chapter concludes really positively. Both paths are valid. Specialist, generalist, both powerful. What matters is knowing yourself and leaning into your approach. Don't let others define you.
Both are needed. Just work it with everything you've got, as she says.
Yeah. Okay, chapter 9. Not finishing school or anything. She tackles this head on.
And she's very upfront. School ain't for everybody, including her. 7 colleges, 200+ units, no degree.
But again, she says it wasn't about ability, it was indecision. Too many interests pulling her in different directions.
And she saw that not finishing school became a wider pattern.
Yeah, the pattern of almost. Business plans started, websites launched but not maintained, courses bought but not completed, goals set but abandoned.
That sounds familiar for many people.
Right. And she warns, almost becomes a habit if you let it. You get good at starting, but the finishing muscle gets weak. And that affects everything.
So the focus isn't necessarily on going back to school, but on the act of finishing itself.
Exactly. Finishing builds discipline and opens doors. It teaches you to push through discomfort, stay focused when the shine wears off, and build self-trust. You prove to yourself you can see things through.
And you can build that muscle anywhere. Courses, certifications, books, projects.
It's transferable. And she makes the point, people respect finishers. Opportunities tend to flow towards those who complete things.
Does she regret not finishing the degree itself?
She admits to fleeting moments, maybe for the sense of closure. But she counters with, life is still school. Real-world experience gives you valuable credits.
So the advice for others who didn't finish school is?
Focus on finishing something.
Yeah.
Pick a project, a course, a book, whatever. Train that completion muscle. Build that self-trust. It shifts your energy.
A diploma isn't the only way. The discipline, follow-through, those are essential. Master finishing one thing, and it helps you finish everything.
Makes a lot of sense. Which brings us to the final chapter, chapter 10, asking the big question, why are you really chasing money?
And she starts by challenging that myth. More money equals less stress.
Yeah, she argues it often brings more responsibility. If you're earning a lot, someone's paying you clients, customers, investors,
Yes.
and that comes with pressure.
Deadlines, deliverables, expectations, performance. The peace you expected might not show up.
Right. Mo money, mo responsibility is real, she says. Bigger checks mean higher expectations, maybe bigger bills, lifestyle creep. A different kind of stress replaces the old kind.
She even says she sometimes missed the simpler times when just paying basic bills was the main worry, compared to juggling payroll, taxes, contracts, bigger operations.
It all leads back to that core question. Was it ever really about the money, or was it about something deeper?
Like what? What are those deeper needs she identifies?
Chasing status, proving yourself. Chasing security, feeling safe. Chasing survival, escaping the fear of poverty. Or chasing freedom, wanting control over your time, your choices.
And if you don't know which of those you're really after,
The money will never feel like enough. You'll just keep hustling, never satisfied. It's a hamster wheel.
so what's the real win for her now?
Peace, purpose, owning her time, doing work that has an impact. It's shifted away from just the dollar amount.
She looks back at the money, the cars, the office, the applause, and sees what actually matters now is different. Living smart, low bills, freedom, helping people, doing meaningful work.
Yeah, it's a powerful reevaluation.
And she ends by urging the listener
You.
to really dig deep. Why are you chasing? Because the worst thing is getting there, hitting the number, and realizing it wasn't the right goal all along.
Be honest with yourself. Is it money? Or is it freedom, status, peace? Knowing the answer brings so much more meaning.
So wrapping up with this deep dive into chasing money, the big takeaway really seems to be that this chase, this drive for wealth, it's often masking these much deeper emotional needs, isn't it?
Absolutely. It's rarely just about the number in the bank account. It's tangled up with feeling safe, feeling worthy, feeling free.
We really hope this gives you some food for thought, maybe encourages you to reflect on your own chase, what's really driving your engine. Getting clear on that can honestly change everything.
It really can bring a new perspective, maybe more intention to how you approach your work, your finances, your life.
And so here's a final thought for you to take away. Now that we've explored all these layers from Steph Wynne's experience, what's maybe one small practical step you could take, maybe even today, to align your own pursuit of resources more closely with what you truly desire underneath it all, whether that's security, purpose, or just more peace?